So what was I supposed to do as a 19-year-old real estate agent that probably wouldn't have been taken seriously? A lot of people at that time, once again, they were like, well, TikTok has no business purposes. It's just for maybe younger kids jumping around, dancing, whatever that may be on TikTok. And I tried it out for a little bit, tried TikTok out for a little bit, and I wasn't getting the traction that I wanted to. And then one of my videos hit over 3 million views. Well, let's say in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be having a $3.5 million deal come up from TikTok.
Believe it or not, guys, the young man, I'm just going to call him a wolf puppy, is on the podcast today. He's doing $110,000 in net commission this month alone from TikTok. We're going to find out how No Ward, one of the Wolfpack members here at EXP with us, is doing this. So let me get No Ward on here, guys. He is an incredibly young man, good friend of mine, and he has started working with new construction, and then he built himself out a development company in Florida. And we're talking about how he's doing this and how he's doing these big deals and how he's making 6 figures a month at only age 22. Noah, welcome to the call. How do you doing, man?
Thank you very much, Connor. I appreciate you having me on this call. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I get to talk to a lot of successful people and I hear a lot of crazy stories, and all success stories are great, but I like seeing it with young entrepreneurs, especially yourself, as I do know you personally. And I think that our country and the world in general will do better long-term if more entrepreneurs start at a young age like yourself, because I understand the time value of money and how big it can grow over time. I wish I would have gotten to entrepreneurship way sooner. I tell people if I could go back and not go to college, I would have gone straight into business. And I think your story is going to kind of validate that. And we'll kind of go through it here and kind of how you got to where you got to. But quickly introduce yourself a little bit further. How did you decide you wanted to go into real estate in the first place? And then let's transition how you got into TikTok and use that for real estate. And then kind of the cool stuff you're doing with these big development deals, and how you guys can get in touch with Noah if you're interested in some of these deals, or if you just want to work with Noah in general.
Yeah, for sure. So, when I first got into real estate, I was 19 years old. I was originally in Wisconsin at the time. So I got my Wisconsin real estate license, but I knew I wasn't going to do anything with it because I knew I was moving to Florida. So I didn't do anything with it. I got my real estate license, hung it with EXP, but I knew I was going to Florida. So then when I moved to Florida, once again, mind you, I was still in college at the time. And so that was during when the pandemic hit and everything like that. So college went online. And then after that, so I moved to Florida during the COVID times. And then I decided to get my real estate license here in Florida. But once again, I moved my whole entire, home from Wisconsin to Florida. I had no sphere of influence, no friends, no family. I didn't even know really the geography of the overall area. So what was I supposed to do as a 19-year-old real estate agent that probably wouldn't have been taken seriously, by the mass public? Granted that most of the population here in Sarasota, Florida is probably around, the average age is around 45, 50 years old. So it's not a young crowd, to say the least. So there's not many college kids, stuff like that. Yeah, it's all good. But to me, there's not like college kids, stuff like that. So I knew I would have to stand out in some respect, and I just can't say, oh, I'm a typical real estate agent, because that just wasn't going to fly for me. And like, for me, I didn't want to do traditional real estate sales or like be a traditional real estate agent, even though there's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't my exact route that I wanted to go. And so I knew I wanted to set myself apart. So I was just like, hey, let's jump on video. Let's do like YouTube, TikTok. Well, at first, I didn't really know what TikTok was. So I was just like, let's hop on YouTube. And then I found this amazing app called TikTok. And I was like, well, this seems interesting, right? But a lot of people at that time, once again, they were like, well, TikTok has no business purposes. It's just for maybe younger kids jumping around, dancing, whatever that may be on TikTok. And I did see, what I got inspiration from was I saw a couple real estate agents that were doing very well on TikTok, grew a large following on TikTok. So I knew that if they could do it, why couldn't I do it, right? TikTok was still relatively young. It is still relatively young in its lifespan right now. But at the end of the day, I saw what they were doing. They were using it for real estate purposes. I actually hopped on the phone with them talking about their success with TikTok. And I was like, well, let me try it, because no one in my area is doing TikTok. So I think I could easily grab the market. And that's exactly what I did. But long story short was I tried it out for a little bit, tried TikTok out for a little bit, and I wasn't getting the traction that I wanted to. And then one of my videos hit over 3 million views. And once that hit 3 million views, it had nothing really to do with Sarasota real estate. It was more just like an abandoned house that was from a famous rapper. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head anymore. But after that, I was like, all right, boom, I hit it. I made it. I'm going to start growing my following like crazy on TikTok. Then the next video I posted, it got like 500 views. And then every other video after that just kept getting 500, 500, like 400, 300, whatever that may be. And that took a toll on me mentally, like thinking like, oh, I hyped myself up a little too much and it really wasn't where it should be. Right. So I was just like, screw TikTok. I'm done with TikTok. I quit TikTok actually for probably about a month or two. And then I was talking with other real estate agents and they're just like, yeah, you have these ups and downs, no matter what it is, no matter if you're cold calling, door knocking, whatever it may be, you're going to have these ups and downs. And I really took that to heart. And I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do this seriously, I have to commit to it 100%. And that's when I got the game plan of, okay, so I'm going to start posting 3 times a day, every single day for 90 days. That's exactly what I did. I did not miss one day at all. And that's where I got to my first 10,000 followers. And then after that, I was like, all right, well, this is not sustainable because now I'm starting to work with clients, starting to work with customers, stuff like that. So obviously doing all that's not really, it's not going to benefit me in the long run, trying to burn myself out. So I was like, all right, let's go down to 2 videos a day. So I did 2 videos a day for the next 90 days. And then I was like, all right, I'm still seeing success. I've grown another 10,000 followers. And then I just was like, okay, now I have the follower base that I want. And I'm already working with clients. Sure, I could keep up 2, but then I also have YouTube. And then I had some other things going on at the time. So I was just like, I'm not going to try to do everything all at once. I want to be hyper focused on, some certain things. But at the end of the day, that's when I decided to go down to 1 TikTok video every single day and kind of go into that maintenance phase, I call it. And then I really just wanted to start focusing more on just video in general, whether that be TikTok, YouTube, and then Instagram Reels. Just focus on the quality of my videos versus the quantity of my videos at that time. And then right now I've been in the maintenance phase ever since. But right now I got them let's say in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be having a $3.5 million deal come up from TikTok. So that's going to be a listing of mine. So
that's it. That's
awesome.
it.
That's it.
Yeah, so it drives me nuts when I hear like when TikTok's taken off or any of these platforms, I've seen a lot come up and go, and different ones take off, and you hear people say, oh, that one's not going to be good for business, or that one's not going to be good for this. If you're in business and you have attention on you, what do these people have? They all have a bank account. They all have money to spend. They all buy something. They all live in a house. It doesn't matter. You just need the attention. Decide what you do with the attention once you get it. So I don't care if it's short form or very, very, very long form, like 3 to 5 hour podcast. If you have attention, you can redirect it. And if you can redirect attention to where you can sell them something, you can make money in business. So if another platform pops up, I don't care if it's just like TikTok. People are like, oh, you can't just put time into it. Now you need to put time into what you feel confident in, because you heard about mindset, how he just lost his mindset on it. Even though he had a big success, 3 million views, the shifting the mindset pulled him off. Not that it didn't work. His mindset pulled him off. This is very important. This is what happens to entrepreneurs all the time, including myself. In a young age, you already pushed through that because a lot of people don't step back up. But just stay consistent on whatever you guys are doing and do it with intent over a long period of time, and results will happen. Now, let's kind of talk about some of the fundamentals of what you're doing with TikTok here. So let's talk about your company here. So you started out with new construction, right? And in kind of the new build type of thing. And then you actually built yourself a development company, and kind of let's talk about your business and how you actually do the transactions, where the income's coming from. And then let's maybe kind of wrap it up with how you're actually using TikTok, like types of videos you're filming, how you're redirecting the attention to it, and how you're actually getting into the business conversation with them. But fill me in on how your transactions started and how it led to your development company.
Yeah, for sure. So with the power of, gaining a following on TikTok and starting to, gain leverage on YouTube, like I would say about 97% of all my buyers are going to be all from out of state. And so that they came from YouTube and TikTok alone. Sure, I did get a few referrals here and there, but for the most part, it's all from TikTok and YouTube. So obviously I knew that my ideal buyer was going to be from out of state. So what I did was I always wanted to focus on new construction. I didn't really obviously everyone likes the shiny object, the nice new brand new home, whatever. So that's what I showcased, right? So here in Southwest Florida, we have what is called production builders, spec home builders, which are basically just homes that are being built to be sold, not to a specific client or not to a specific customer, just to be sold to the general public by these builders. So I went in, I talked to these different builder reps at the time and just said, hey, my name's Noah. I'm a real estate agent. Would you mind if I, shot some video for YouTube and TikTok? Here's my TikTok following. At the time, I kind of leveraged that a little bit to just say, hey, do you mind if I take a walkthrough of your property and then post it on social media? And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. Most of the time, they were cool with it. The only time that they weren't was if it was a listing agent trying to represent a builder, then they started getting a little bit, obviously there's a little collision right there. But at the end of the day, I mainly focused on working with builder reps. And then after that, I started putting up more content on TikTok, short form, long form, whatever it may be. And then my following started to grow even more. And then I started to gain attention of like local businesses, stuff like that. So then I went to do local business tours, everything there. And then I got partnered with, I had a mutual friend then introduced me to a local general contractor or a home builder here in Sarasota. And he was like, hey, you two would be, he does the building side, you do the sales side, everything like that. You have great video marketing. I want to put you two in contact, right? So him and I got put into contact for a little bit. And at the time, I was just like, I had someone come and ask me, hey, Noah, do you know of anyone that wants to do a commercial build out for this golf simulator here in Sarasota? Well, I said, well, actually, I do have a GC guy that would love to do it. So I talked to my GC partner, and then we just started talking every single day. So it was a very natural connection to where we were like, oh, every single day we were on the phone, we were having conversations about that golf simulation, building that out. And then also just talking about how to build a house, going through the home building process, everything like that. And then it became to the effect of where I started bringing in different people that are looking to build a house. And then I introduced it to him and he was like, hey, I think it's time for us to take it to the next step further, and we'll actually form a development company around it. Because at the time I was talking with different investors globally and domestically, and then also just people that are looking to build single family homes, so custom home builds. And so at the time, it makes a little bit more sense for me to be partners in that development company than just doing it on the sales side. So I can help leverage, obviously, client relations, be more involved into the building process. So that's where we decided to start a development company. And ever since that, that's where I've started to bring in more. We have a couple Chilean investors. We have a couple investors from Utah, a couple from Miami. We had some from the Middle East at one point, but they wanted to take a break for a little bit. But once again, those all came from YouTube. So that's something very important to note, is that a lot of my, foreign domestic or my foreign international buyers or investors, I should say, have come from YouTube, because they look for someone that's, that they know, like, and trust. And one of my Chilean investors, he's one of the most reputable developers in the country of Chile, basically. And so I will be flying down there in September to go meet with him again. We've been meeting back and forth. He's flown up here. He's flown his team up here, but we'll actually go see some of his projects down in Chile in September. But that's where a lot of stuff has started to grow, is that I always didn't come for the money first, because a lot of agents, they don't get into they don't get into new construction right away, just because you don't see commission check until the house is fully built out, right? So a lot of agents don't really do that. So it's low hanging fruit for me to slide in there and say, hey, I'm going to sacrifice commissions up front to focus on these new construction homes, to then get the commission on the back end of everything. So right now we're working on several custom home builds. And then, like I said, we're working with our Chilean investors who we're buying land with right now. They've just been land banking for a while, to where then we can start now submitting for permits, going in for permits, and then starting to build the homes.
So you mentioned TikTok to YouTube. Are you seeing that kind of bridge where you have a lot of people kind of come across you because the volume of the short form content, but then they kind of, you're redirecting them over to your YouTube channel where they start to follow you with your longer form, where you can now build rapport with them and get into conversation with them? How are you? Is it through TikTok or YouTube or both? How are you getting from the content world to the real world, bridging that to where you get into conversation with them? Because you never know who's on the internet. You don't know if they're a rock star like you, or if they are living in the parents' basement, $100,000 in debt like I was at one point. How does the business side work? Because a lot of people understand I can get on there and film content, but how do you get it to where you're actually in the real world doing business?
Right. So there's a couple different ways that I've gotten those buyers and investors. So one avenue is obviously through my TikTok, creating a lot of content. And then on my bio, I have my contact info, right? So obviously I have my phone number, which people have given me calls off of that. but the majority of them have actually gone on to, so if you're familiar with the TikTok profile, right next to kind of like your face or the picture, you have where it shows like your Instagram connected and your YouTube connected. So obviously, since I'm young, a lot of people don't believe that I'm actually real. I've actually had phone calls with people and they're like, "You're actually real." And I'm like, yeah, I'm real. I can touch myself. I'm real. But they're like, so what we did was, because I asked them, okay, what was kind of figuring out their client journey at the end of the day. So they would find me on TikTok, right? Because TikTok is one of my more like like I cast a huge net so that I can reel them in. So it casts for me, TikTok is more of a wider reach. Sure, it's a disruption based platform. It's not really search based platform just yet. So obviously, I know I was going to get a lot of tire kickers, stuff like that, but I wanted to get the eyes on me so that people then would either give me a call from my bio, or they would check out my website, which a lot of them do because I have it all tracked through a tracker. And then I also then will have my TikTok or my YouTube and Instagram connected so that they'll go to my Instagram, they'll see me, they'll see what I do, they'll follow me actually along with my stories, Instagram stories, see what I'm doing on a day-to-day thing. The Instagram for them says it's more of a social proof kind of thing because obviously I'm posting my deals that I'm doing, what I'm doing, everything like that. So, Instagram is really for the social proof. And then YouTube is where they then go watch longer form 5-10 minute videos of mine talking more in depth about the specific local market, talking about what's going on, talking about the new constructions. Because obviously I only can get so much in a 30-second video on TikTok. And yes, TikTok has gone to a 10-minute video. I have not explored that option just yet. I'm leaving that up to my YouTube, but a lot of people obviously can't get all that content in 30 seconds. So then they go check out my YouTube. Then they watch me for some have watched me for 1 month. Some have watched me for 12 months. I have a local police department in Pennsylvania that all watches me, and they've been watching me for about 9 months now. So it's interesting, but so that's kind of the journey that a lot of people go on just from me talking to them. So a lot of all of those, like I told you, that's where my biggest listing has come from, which is that $3.5 million one, my biggest sale, which is a little over 2 million. And then now my $1.5 million seller and $1.5 million buyer. Those guys have come from TikTok. All my foreign international buyers and my foreign international investors have all come strictly from YouTube because it's a search-based platform.
Well, see, guys, if you get banned on TikTok, you can get pulled over and get out of it. I'm just kidding. So,
right.
As you get these leads coming in, because like I've been doing YouTube on and off for seems like forever now. When I talk to people, sometimes they say, I just came across you or I've been following you for years. What do you think as far as like conversion from first point of contact? Do a lot of these people say, hey, I just watched your video yesterday and they reach out to you? Or do you get a lot more of them where it's like, I've been following you now for like a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then they kind of try to reach out? Or do you see it just like all over the map and there's really no pattern to it? Or is there one more than the other?
Yeah, for me, I always thought that it was going to be like based on a lot of the calls that I've had with people, they were like, hey, I've been watching you for, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever that may be. We're ready to buy now. But then recently I've had more people are like, like one of my last calls, like a couple of days ago, they're like, hey, I was just running on the treadmill this morning. They called me at like 7:30 in the morning. They're like, hey, I'm running on the treadmill. I just found you on YouTube. I'm looking to build a house in Northport. I have land in Northport, which is just south of Sarasota, and I'm looking to build a house. Can you help me go through that home building process and kind of what a new construction process will look like? So only recently have I gotten calls that are like, hey, I just stumbled across your YouTube today. Now let me give him a call, for example. But most of my buyers have always said like, hey, I've been watching you for a few months now. And now we're ready to buy. And then they reach out. But for me, I've seen that the YouTube life cycle, at least for me, has been a lot shorter than TikTok. TikTok most of them are usually 3 to 9 months out from doing anything. YouTube is a lot shorter for me.
Yep. So like lots of people try to figure out where they're going to go, which direction they're going to go when they start channels or different platforms, and they try lots of different types of content, different ways of filming it, different messages, different deliveries. What is it that you think is working? Like you probably tried lots of different approaches. Like kind of give me an idea of a video that you're filming, how it work. Are you out at the properties? Are you walking around the property? Or you're talking about numbers? Just so I can, or everybody here listening can think about or recreate it. Like what is like the intent of the video as you're filming it? How are you going about this process?
Yeah, so for me, I've found a few different things to work the best. So obviously I've done a lot of trial and error over the past several months to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and trying to find that sweet spot combination. Now, I will say that probably every market's going to be a little bit different. So obviously you have to cater towards what your ideal buyer is looking for. But for me, after a lot of trial and error, so at first I started doing just talking about, well, I should first say my most popular videos are going to be your property tours, actually walking through the property, holding up the phone and walking through it, doing it vertical content. And then the other one is going to be doing like using the green screen effect on TikTok, because for me, I can get a lot of information across while I'm still in the office and I don't have to travel anywhere. So I can knock out 30 to 45 different videos in a short amount of time. While doing property tours, I only can do 5 or 6 at a time in a day or whatever that may be. And then the other content is going to be more based towards the local area, what the local area looks like. So I kind of have 3 different content box ideas: property tours, green screen, and then also just showing the local community. But for me, that hybrid method of all 3 of those have done the best, because I've strictly done property tours. Sure, that's great. It grabs a lot of eyeballs because everyone loves a great new construction house. But once again, it doesn't turn those views into leads. And then I've also done straight, utilizing the green screen effect, have gone through all that. Sure, I've gotten a lot of people from talking with me, looking at views, stuff like that. But once again, it just wasn't the conversion that I was looking for, how many people that I thought would be reaching out. So then that's when I started going to a hybrid method of doing, okay, let me use the property tours as kind of the top of the funnel to attract people, and then make sure I sprinkle in other videos talking about, showing myself, showing my face, talking about the local real estate market, showing about any news that's happening in the area, showing what the local area actually is in person, what it looks like. And what I've found is, because I've talked to, the people that have reached out to me, and they're like, yeah, I've been watching you for months now. I saw all your property tour videos, but then you all of a sudden started doing, talking about what's happening, showing yourself on the green screen, everything like that, right? And for me, that's where it came to the realization of, okay, now I'm building the know, like, and trust factor by me actually being on it. But then I'm also showing what kind of properties people can buy here in Sarasota at certain price points. While I'm not in those property tour videos, I'm in the other videos. So I found that nice mix of both property tour videos and me doing the green screen to be really the sweet spot, at least for me, for when I'm talking with people and them already know, liking, and trusting me for this.
Awesome. Awesome. As far as like TikTok goes, what are some of the most difficult things someone who would be just now getting on the platform could experience? Is it says like, I don't personally, I mean, I guess I'm on TikTok. I need to be on it more now that I'm seeing you and some of the other agents do a lot, doing what you're all doing. What are some of like the nuances? Is it a lot like Instagram is probably like what people would probably think most similarly with like short form content and reels and things like that? What would be some of the difficult things or things to keep in mind as if they're going to start out, some of the mistakes you made or things that you think if you could go back and do it differently, you would have avoided it if you started over and did it the first time?
Honestly, I would not do over anything. I would not change up what I did differently,
It's like, I'm
because
making 110 grand this month. This idiot is asking me what I'll do different.
no, not just that, but everything that led up to this point, it taught me a lot of different things, right? So obviously I had to get knocked down to pick myself back up again. I'd rather have it be a hard road than an easy road, because I would think everything is easy in life, right? And coming from being a young age, everything like that, having a completely different mindset to where I have a completely different mindset than what I did when I was 19 years old. I think this whole entire journey has taught me a lot, and I pretty much would not change anything, because I've met a lot of great people along the way. I've met a lot of, I've gotten a lot of tips, tricks, and, advice from a lot of people talking about content, everything like that. But for me, I mean, the biggest thing right now is just being consistent. And a lot of people think it's not that simple, but for me, it is that simple, is being consistent on a day-to-day basis. And I tell agents, because I have other agents ask me, well, Noah, how are you doing this on TikTok all the time? And I'm like, well, I prioritize my video content because that's what's making me money. So what's making me money, I'm going to prioritize. So when that happens, I'm like, that's my main focus. I have tunnel vision when it comes to that. And a lot of these agents, they just say they put out 1 or 2 videos and they expect to blow up. Well, at the end of the day, there's a few realizations to put into place. Is one, you're realistically not going to blow up after the first couple of videos. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take dedication. It's going to take hard work of creating the content, posting the content, and just being consistent and going through the day-to-day tasks and the day-to-day grind of getting 100 views, 200 views, 300 views a video before you start getting the thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of views on your videos, right? So for me, it's the consistency factor. And if you're going to dive in, I personally would put out a lot of content at first, because then you're overloading kind of what you're doing so that you can cast a wider net. For me, I don't have to keep putting out 3 videos every single day. But for a person starting out, just like what I did, I threw out 3 videos a day to cast a huge net for more people to watch me so that I can gain my following a lot faster than I would have if I just did 1 video a day and so forth. And then the other thing is just basically knowing that you are going to get negative comments. And the thing is to just for me, a lot of people ask me, well, how do you overcome those negative comments? Well, I talk to people, like I go back and forth with them. So obviously, if you do more comments in the thread or the comment thread, whatever that may be for the video, obviously it promotes it in the algorithm a little bit higher just because there's more interaction engaging in it. So for me, I kind of play it as a game. So one, I will read a person's comment and I'll take, okay, is this valid? Is it not valid? Right? Maybe there are some points that are valid in their video and I'll take that into consideration, but then I'll throw the rest of it out of my head. Right. And then the second thing is I will comment something back, and I'm not going to be honest. I do comment sarcastically on a lot of these videos, these negative comments, because then they just keep going back and forth with you. And I can be 20 thread text messages basically deep. And then all that does is it looks better on the video. It promotes it a little bit more. So I kind of egg them on a little bit in that respect. But I've also gained a lot of what would it be? A lot of smart criticism, I guess you could call it, from these comments. So a lot of people comment these negative things, but then I look back and reflect on that video. And that's how I've been able to grow from every single video, because my whole point, like on my YouTube and my TikTok, was to be able to grow from every single video that I've created and not just keep putting out the same exact content. So I did learn from my mistakes. I learned from the comments, even though they were negative, but I pulled the good out of them and then threw away the bad.
That's some really good advice from a young man. So like, I call that poking the bear or fueling the fire. It's important to understand, guys, that you will have haters no matter how great you are. Everybody does. And by pushing back, and what also happens is your loyal, the people that follow you regularly, that they start to come on top of that, and it creates a huge comment thread. But also what you said there, looking at it with the awareness of, is this actual real hate, or are they telling the truth, or are they just angry at the world and just venting out somewhere? So like I had I had someone leave a comment on one of my posts. Never had anybody tell me I was fat before, and I let myself get a little bit overweight a few times in my life. And during the pandemic, I put a little bit on, just a little bit, and someone left a comment and said something like that, and it made me upset at first. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Because sometimes when you let yourself slip, it happens slowly, incrementally. And I looked at the pictures. I put on like 40 pounds. That one comment, you know what happened? In the next 2 months, I lost 60. It was like, what, 10 weeks? I lost 60 pounds. So that person's one comment led to a total life transformation the next, 75, 90 days for myself. So take what they do as motivation, but also, like you're saying, you can learn from what people are pointing out. What if they're actually pointing out a real mistake that you're making? Don't just simply get offended and be like, oh, they're just hating on me and this. What if they're giving you advice? So that's some good advice you brought there, but also to poke the bear and hit that, fuel the fire. Now, are you seeing the age groups start to trend up? Like I know in the beginning it was all young people, and then it started getting a little bit old. Are you starting to see it more 30, 40, 50-year-old entrepreneurs and real estate professionals start channels? Are they popping up more? Is it still relatively sub 30 on the platform right now?
So my whole demographic, like if I was to open up my TikTok analytics and everything like that, my major demographic is going to be age 45 to 65. Which is interesting. I hardly have any younger people. It's 60% women, 40% male. And so, like I said, I don't have a lot of younger people following me. And a lot of people are like, hey, well, why is that exactly? Well, if you think about it, what content do I put out that would benefit a young person? For example, talking about the local real estate market, stuff like that. Typically young people don't go on YouTube or don't go on like TikTok and stuff like that to come across that kind of content. So obviously I'm not going to attract those kind of people. And that's not who I want to attract, because in my area, we're not a first-time home buyer county. So being in your 20s or whatever that may be, it just doesn't work out. So they're not my ideal demographic. My ideal demographic is people that are buying second homes, vacation homes, or moving from California, New York, or wherever it may be. And they're like, oh, these home prices are very cheap here compared to these other states that we just moved from, right? And obviously those people are going to be in their, 40s, 50s, 60s. So I'm glad my demographic is where it sits at. But right now, I have seen a lot of progression over the past 12 months, with more agents coming onto the platform, more business people coming onto the platform. I've actually seen a lot more people come on in the past 6 months, whether that be real estate or just entrepreneurs, everything like that, coming onto the platform compared to when I got on it in 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's happening because, people like you and all y'all stories are happening live time, and the echo effect, people hear it and then they pay attention to it, and then they go and put time in, and now you're seeing kind of the trickle down effect of it. But have you are like you optimizing anything like locally, or you're just doing it globally? Have you look, because you're in Florida, you got a lot of what they call them snowbirds, and a lot of people moving down there that age also has money and they're in the retirement cycle. Are you optimizing just for Florida, or are you just blasting out there and just letting it go? And then is there anything unique about the TikTok algorithm? Now, I know in the beginning it was really rewarding organic content, pushing people hard, but is there anything specific about it? Like with YouTube, you got click-through rates and post-launch velocity and things like that. Are there specific algorithm triggers that you're aware of that people should focus on?
So what I've typically focused on is obviously I can put a location, like a drop pin kind of where that video took place. And so I put it in Sarasota or wherever the surrounding community of wherever that video is. And then I also focus on just putting out 4 or 5 hashtags of both my city, the region of Florida, new construction, whatever that may be that's relevant to it, because TikTok is getting some sort of SEO based kind of search in there, because I've searched it. Like I can type in my search in TikTok, type in Sarasota, Florida, and my videos will come up. So when people start doing that, what's cool, because I've gone down that rabbit hole of if I type in something and I start clicking on a few of those videos, then when I go to my For You page, then I have more of those videos pop up from different people in that same exact location or same exact region of the country. So TikTok is getting better on that, which I prefer, instead of just blasting it out to the mass amount of people. Yes, views have gone down a little bit since they've started reorganizing how their algorithm works. But at the end of the day, I think that a lot more of my viewers are becoming more hyper focused or hyper local into my area. Yeah, and like I said, my views are down a little bit compared to several months ago. But once again, those other people just were my ideal target audience. And same thing with YouTube as well. Like you said, a lot of it's SEO based, SEO driven. But for me, I just primarily use the location and then the hashtags as my primary kind of dictator for Southwest Florida.
Yeah, well, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to build it for vanity metrics, or are you trying to build it for your bank account? Because like sometimes we can get a lot of views. I can go post a video of someone falling down the stairs and get a bunch of views. How's that going to turn into a check, right? So sometimes I think real estate professionals and general entrepreneurs watch these big entertainment channels and these channels that grow quick and lots of views or short form, and then they're getting a 50 views or 35 views. But if that person is someone that partners with you, let's say at EXP, like Mike did and me, think about that, right? Or what if it's a potential $3.5 million deal? It doesn't matter if you get 20 views if one of them turns into a $50,000+ check. So I would think of it not just for the vanity side of it, all these big numbers that you're trying to hit as far as goals, but is it moving the bank account needle? Now, let's as we're coming down here, we'll go for about 10 minutes or so. What is your take as far as your perspective on yourself? Can we talk right now? As a young entrepreneur, what got you into the business, as far as like not just this business, but just going into business in general at a young age? Meaning, not really going down the traditional path. Go get the college degree, 9 to 5, the White House or the house, white picket fence, 2.5 children, a dog. What made you go, I'm fully confident that I can go into entrepreneurship space at my age and do well, and now do well?
Yeah. So for me, I think it really just started at a young age and how I was raised and how I grew up. I mean, for me, I left public high school to then go into a private school just because I was usually getting done with a lot of homework beforehand. I was getting done with class and then I would sit on my phone for the rest of the remainder of the class. So it was really a waste of my time. So then that's when I decided to go into a private school to where I could work at my own pace. And then what I did for me was I was always, I was always ahead of the game for everything. I always wanted to get things done. I was always on time, on date, whatever that may be. And so for me, like doing this private school thing, I was able to get 2 days worth of school done in one day. So it made me fast track a lot more of my schooling. And then after that, I really only had one legit job before, that's technically a 9 to 5, which it really wasn't a 9 to 5, but more of a structured job. And I absolutely hated it, right? I did not like it. And for me, that was back when I was 16, 17 years old. And I knew that it wasn't for me because I would get all my things done before everyone else. And then I would go tell the boss or the manager, say, hey, I'm done with this. And because everything was like kind of time based. So like if we were done, some people could leave. But for me, they were like, oh, well, you finished yours. You can go help out this person finish theirs. And then I would go help out that person. That person would be sitting on their phone doing whatever just to milk the hours because they were getting paid hourly. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get paid hourly, basically, because what I'll do is I will turn into that person, just start milking out all the hours, and I won't get anywhere in life. So for me, I wanted to really take control of my future and where I want to do things. Right. So I started focusing on, okay, well, what can I do to leverage my time to then also make a good income, right? And then that's when I started focusing on real estate because I've always liked doing architecture, kind of designing and everything like that, which got me into the real estate space because I did not want to become an architect because I did not want to go to school for 4 years. I got an associate's degree, but other than that, I haven't done anything with it. I'll tell you that I've learned more in 2 years of real estate than I did 2 years of going through an associate's degree for business management. And I 100% can say that with confidence, and everyone's different. But for me, the 9 to 5 just wasn't for me because I was always a go-getter, a person that was like, I need to get this done, keep moving forward. And I felt like when I was working at that one job, I was restricted. I was put into a box, and I don't like being put into a box. I like doing my own thing at my own pace and being able to make whatever I want. So that's why real estate made the most amount of sense, because it combined my freedom of time and freedom of going outside of the norm of what every other real estate agent is doing. And then also allowed me to kind of get into that design, architectural construction kind of phase as well. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah. So like a lot of my old videos and speeches and things like that, I'd be speaking to a crowd and I'd bash college or say, if I go back, I would never go to college. And I'd have parents be like, don't say that you're anti-education in front of my kids. And I'm like, I never said I was anti-education. I said, I'm actually the most pro-education person there is. I'm anti-bad education. I don't want people to go down a trap path, if that makes sense. I'm pro-education on entrepreneurship, meaning the things that are going to give you the life that you want. It's also expensive to go out there and chase education, either if you're doing it with your time, sifting through YouTube videos and content, or if you're going to pay like a high-end consulting company. So maybe give your take on the education that you've had working with, Mike and other people here with us in the Wolfpack, and maybe some of the agents out there that would want to reach out to you, obviously to work with you and learn from you. Obviously, you're crushing at a young age, but what they could expect to work with you and us as a group and what we all kind of do behind the scenes. And then I'll let you give a chance to kind of put all your links and websites and everywhere you want to send people to, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, for me, the educational system has obviously changed, and not to get too controversial on this topic, but I know that education is not for everyone. Your typical college, your typical 4 years, 6 years, if you want to be a doctor, 2 years, whatever that may be. Trade schools are a lot in. More people are going to trade schools, which is completely cool because we do need more trades out there. But your traditional education of, your 4-year bachelor's degree, stuff like that, a lot of times it doesn't come into play. Like for me, I haven't had to go do anything that would require me to get a bachelor's degree. Sure, if you're becoming an engineer, doctor, whatever that may be, yes, you need those degrees. But at the end of the day, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I personally don't think that college is necessarily the right path unless that's what you want to do. Like I said, I'm not anti-education. I just want people to do like the best education that's right for them at the end of the day. And obviously the regular education system does need to get reformed a little bit. But for me, my best education was from actually doing it, practicing it, being a practitioner of everything, right? And that's when I decided to join EXP and join the Wolfpack at EXP with Mike and Connor and everyone. That's where I think my life actually changed, because they created structure. You guys created structure for me. And like I've told Mike before in the past, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the Social Agent Academy, without the agents in the Wolf Pack, without the help, the support, Zoom calls and phone calls and everything like that. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without your guys' help, because Mike held my hand. He was able to walk me through what I should and should not do. He kind of pointed me in the right direction, kind of, I would say, as a fatherly figure, quote unquote, in the entrepreneur space. And going through the Social Agent Academy, that was my training. Like, that was worth way more than 2 years of college for me. And I finished that in a matter of, a couple of weeks. And that's where I learned the most amount of content, was through that Social Agent Academy training. So I would say that I did waste 2 years of my life going to college, but then again, I was doing real estate on the side as well when I was getting my college degree, everything like that. But for me, the most important thing is figuring out what you want to do. If you want to be an entrepreneur, figure out a person that you idolize in that space that's actually authentic, right? Because there's a lot of people, everyone can front on social media. Everyone can make themselves look a lot better than they really are in the back end. But for me, that's why I connected with Mike so much, because he was on video. He was being consistent on video. That's why I wanted to reach out to him, talk to him, have a conversation, and I actually felt how authentic he was about his goals, his missions, his passions. And we connected on that kind of level for that. So I knew that what he was offering is going to be the right route for me specifically. And it's actually the right route for a lot of agents, just because a lot of agents want to break out of the norm of being a traditional real estate agent and kind of be more of a quote unquote modern real estate agent, leveraging video. And so with us, obviously, I've done pretty well for myself doing video and everything like that. And I know a lot of agents in our group have done very well. And it all has one common denominator, and that is going to be the Social Agent Academy, and working with the agents in our group as well. Because, like, for example, Jeremy in our group, Louie in our group, and all these other people, the original Wolfpack members, everything like that, I reached out to them. They didn't even know me from a hole in the wall when I was 19 years old, but they basically answered all the questions that I had. They were able to kind of guide me in the right direction. And I honestly don't know where else you could get that culture in the real estate industry.
Well, they adopted you into the pack. You can go pay $1 million somewhere. Just kidding.
That's right.
That was a really wise answer, by the way, for being young. So notice how I said in the beginning, he said it's traditional education school system is good for specific people like doctors, attorneys. There's specialized knowledge that is the right path to go down. But if you're going to go down just like a generic path, like, it probably doesn't make sense. Go into business. And then he said that his best education came from actually doing it. And then also the proximity relationship with people going down the path that he wanted to follow in that path behind. So my career changed from local REI clubs where I met my local mentors and had that close father-son type apprenticeship or mentee or mentor-mentee relationship. You need to find somebody local that's ahead of you in life, that you're following that path in life, and get close to proximity with them and do something for them where you're going to save them time or stress. Because usually at that point, they don't need money, they need something different. And it's usually somehow you're going to remove emotion from their life or give them time back. So I started working for local REI club investors here for free. And that's how I got my first mentors. But it was a really wise answer. Now you can also learn something about bass fishing from this group, right? And how to catch giant 10 pounders like I do every day.
That's right. And cue the B-roll
as I dive into the lake.
Right.
So we also have some fun. So I got a chance to take Noah out and go fishing. It was actually a crazy day where we had like this massive storm and I got soaked and I literally almost sank the boat. And how many times did I fall in the lake that day? At least
I don't know. A lot. Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
But we caught some big ones.
Yep.
But so we have some fun here too. Now, Noah, good job on this podcast. Tell everybody how to get connected with you. Where would be the easiest and fastest way if they want to say, I want to work with Noah, I want to get going right away? How do they reach out to you? How do they find you? And now's the time.
I mean, the easiest, fastest way for me is just utilizing the one platform that everyone's on, which is Instagram, which my handle is noah.ward. Other than that, that's where you can reach me. That's where all my social links are. That's where my website is for everything. And our free Facebook group, everything like that. You guys can all reach me there. If you guys have specific questions, I answer Instagram the fastest. TikTok, I don't really answer as much. Facebook, I don't answer as much. So TikTok or Instagram is going to be the best place to reach me. Once again, it's noah.ward.
Awesome. We'll get all that also below this video in the description, guys. Go check it out there. Talk today. Check in the description box below, guys, and we'll wrap this one up. Thank you, Noah. You guys all have a good day. Get out there, set big goals this week, and swing for the fences. And we will see you on the next episode. Woo!